Well, I think Centaur provides a good amount of burst.
Yeah, he's good initiation, right? You've got like the get out. But right now, the only hero is like the burst is like the Bane. Phoenix is quite tanky. Abaddon is very tanky and obviously has the borrowed time. Um, the only way this kind of like works out really well is if NiP decides to pick like a really squishy POS 1, POS 2.
Which I don't think they will.
No, I could see them going for something like a Troll Warlord, for example.
I wouldn't be surprised by a troll.
Yeah. Like, obviously, you don't have the Oracle, but you do have an Abaddon, and you have the heals from Phoenix.
Or
Okay.
Invoker. That's
Yeah,
an interesting one.
So Supreme's hero first.
It's a good amount of control.
Mm-hmm.
He's good against the
ruin
scent
as well.
because the scent runs in with Stampede, and you just tornado him, and it really slows down that that initiation.
It's also really good against the Ember because you can dispel the Flame Guard instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So any chance
Yes,
of being a mid Ember, I think, is gone. But we already said we didn't think it was going to be a mid Ember in the first place.
So they just got their carry pick left on NiP, and they've probably got their mid pick left on bait. I imagine they're just going to ban out some Dendy heroes. They're going to ban out Alina. They're going to ban out a TA. Then maybe even ban out the SF.
I think if they want Troll, they ban Lena. If they want Medusa on NiP, then you're probably just looking at like the kind of diffusal type builders, the ones that have mana break built in. Not too many of those in Dendy's repertoire at the mid lane that come to mind. I don't think I've seen him do anything like a Weaver, for example.
No, I've not seen him do a Weaver.
But yeah, they'll just get rid of the Morph. I have seen 1 or 2 games where Morphs build Diffusal. It sounds weird, but it's surprisingly effective.
Oh, yeah, that can work. I suppose they think that the Ember could possibly go mid if they're... Because I don't see Dendy playing the Morph particularly either.
10 seconds.
The hero can function in the mid. It's just not one that I relate to Dendy. I'm not trying to say you can't play it, folks, but I don't remember the last time I actually saw Dendy play Morphling. I feel like I'm going to scroll a long time if I open up his profile. I'm trying to wonder if like something like a Zeus could work for him this game.
I wouldn't... He's played Zeus. I wouldn't be opposed to a Zeus.
No, because they don't necessarily have this insta-catch on the side of NiP, and you have saves, right? You've got the Stampede to get people out. You've got the Oracle with a False Promise, and it's a huge amount of damage, which I think you're somewhat lacking right now as bait, but it would mean that you have this very quick ceiling you reach, where your lineup has to win the game or you lose.
They've played Zeus once in 7.27. Play a lot of Void Spirit. They do play a lot of Morphling.
Yeah, I just don't know if a Void Spirit wins the game for you. Once again, like you literally then got these 2 heroes that have this really powerful time where they can maybe dominate the game. But if everything doesn't go according to plan, and judging by how last game went, Bait has to equate that into their equation, then you're done.
What do you think about Puck? It's another classic Dendy hero.
That was another one I was looking at because he's played it a lot recently. But then once again, I don't know if you can do a right-click Puck. And what are your items, right? Usually you think Deso for a Puck, but your Ember's probably going to go Deso.
They could go Magic Ember. Yeah, Sven's not unusual here.
Maybe TA, but I feel like there's a lot of ways to just burst through the refractions.
Yeah, it's not great against Phoenix.
No.
And it's not great against Invoker sometimes.
I mean, the Invo lane is like doable, right? It's just that Phoenix factor and that Bane factor as the game goes on.
I think it will be Puck or Lena for me.
He plays some Nature's Prophet, but I don't know if I like Nature's Prophet against this lineup. I think they have the means to get you.
Lena's pretty good against the Phoenix. It's good. It's a good egg killer.
I think they're going to go Lena. Like, I think you're right about the Lena, but you notice how I'm trying to find something else?
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to pick Lena.
I don't really like it.
It's such
I'm
a
up
weak
for them
mid.
doing something else.
I'm not saying you can't win games with like mid Lena, but the way that Bait plays the game, it's usually about Dendy. Like this draft is once again like Dendy's pick has to win the game. A Storm Spirit maybe, but I don't think it's a great Storm Spirit game either. Viper possibly, but I think there's too much physical damage from the Sven.
Don't like Viper.
As a hero or in this game?
Just generally, you know.
Both.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is the TA.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I had the feeling it had to be. Like, it lanes well against the Invoker. We already highlighted the Phoenix is going to burn through the refractions. But there's literally no other hero that I can reference to Dendi that fits what their draft needs right now than a TA.
Yeah, I think TA is. Yeah, it's fine. Ultimately, it's good against the Invoker and in mid. It's not dreadful against the Phoenix. I mean, there's a lot of damage over time that hurts him, but I think it plays reasonably. I still think Ninjas and Pyjamas have got this. They've got
Yeah.
good control. They've got good team fight, and they've got like good sustain. And I just think Bait have like a reasonable bit of save and a reasonable bit of team fight, but there's not. I don't really see a massive amount of synergy in their lineup.
Here's the analogy. We're doing like penalty shootouts, and Ninjas and Pyjamas, I give them the full goal. Bait, I give them like the piece in the center and the goalkeeper standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Who do I think is gonna win this penalty shootout? Right? It's not that Bait can't win this penalty shootout. It's that the likelihood of winning it is so much lower. And I think Dendi, like I think Dendi got drafted into a corner here because the TA, as this game goes on, does not get easier. I don't think. Like you got to keep in mind that you already got the dispel right with the tornado. Remember that Sven's usually pick up that dispel as well. That Stormhammer in this game is actually disgusting. Ember, Oracle's attempt to save people with the Fate's Edict, and then also TA's refraction charge. So you can't even argue that TA just takes the refraction talent and feels safe. It's very scary.
I think they're gonna struggle. There's just a lot of initiation that's effective on. And I think this Abba's gonna have a really good game as well, actually.
Actually, sorry, no, you can't dispel refraction, right? Yeah. I'm wrong on that one, but it's just like this. There's still a lot of value in the Fate's Edict and the Flame Guard. So I still just think through dispel power, NiP kind of just invalidates the presence that Bait can have in the mid game. There is a situation. So let me explain where that thin penalty shootout goal is for Bait. Dendi has to massacre mid. He can't just like draw even. He can't have a slight lead. He has to really dictate this entire game. Which, you know, we already talked about the difficulty of being really good in the mid and being really good at captaining.
It is really hard. He's gonna, I don't know. He needs to have a big game here, Dendi. A really big game. I don't see the Ember having a big enough game.
I think Top's gonna die a lot on Bait's side as well, by the way. Because Supreme, he's gonna probably be focused Invoker, right? So you've got easy setup for Sunstrikes from both Stormhammer and from the Sleep from Misha.
Oh yeah, that's a really easy setup.
Bot lane, not so much, right? Like you've got slows, so it's a bit more rough. But you can pressure this lane, okay. A lot of the time, Fishman's going to be using the dispels defensively. Like there's no real play in which he wants to, you know, necessarily Fortune's End his opponent. It's more like, oh no, my Ember's about to be silenced. Dispel. Or, oh no, he's been slowed a lot and he's taken dots from Error. Dispel.
Oh, he might die. No, he's all right. He's fine.
He was a Darkseer.
Oh no, he's not. Oh Jesus Christ.
No, he's gone. I was busy like knowing about the mid lane, bot lane rather.
I didn't see the brain sat there.
Bane, fun hero. I mean, he's not as obnoxious level 1 as he used to be, right? Like, you remember the old one when it was pure? That was stupid to play against. But the trade-off is like...
they're going to kill their Mirana as well. This is going so bad. This Sven could just get gigantic.
It's the weakness of Bait's lane at level 1, right? Like, you have this stomp into Aaron. That's literally it. No one cares about Centaur anymore because Return, they changed it. You don't get these stacks anymore. You remember those days when it's like, oh, I can't afford to trade with the Centaur. Doesn't matter anymore. Look at this. Like, yep, arrow for range creep. That is going to be what we do in this lane.
It's going to feel bad for a long time. And I don't think it gets better. They say to teenagers it gets better. In this case, I don't think it's going to get that much better.
Ah, yes, we're back on the emo feeling of things, just as in a badness once again in the game.
Yeah, I know. He just makes me feel things about him. He brings me back to my teenage years.
You know, if it was any other player in this game after the Spears last game, they'd be feeling it too. But I don't think Saberlight lets that get to him.
I don't think he does.
Oh, he's got parts of the skin I was talking about, like that mask.
Mm-hmm.
The very emo haircut. Usually he has like
Oh,
a
yeah.
really thin sword as well. Error? That's gonna be a kill. This is the kind of kryptonite for NiP, is this bot lane could end up hemorrhaging kills. Which, if they pivot that into an advantage, that can like bolster up Dendi, right? I do think this top lane is going to be a bit of a wash for beta.
I mean, Dendi's doing reasonably well here. He's dominating this mid lane.
It's to be expected. Like, this is a decent matchup for...
It's a decent
yeah.
lane.
Yeah. And of course, Supreme has gone into the Exhort build. Like, you have to. I think Quoswex Invoker isn't entirely dead, but it's very situational since the nerfs to Spirit Vessel.
Yeah.
The amount of time that Misha is just wasting up here, like forcing them to pay attention to him. And this is before free, by the way. I want to point this out. Like, it's a very important thing. Is once you get 2 points in Brain Sap, you can't really be traded with anymore.
No. Well, you can run out of mana.
True, but he's got a triple mango power here, so it's unlikely. And like last year is probably dead here.
No, he's
Nope.
all right.
Okay, he can get close. They needed to actually hit a creep. If they got the range creep, Misha gets free in time and they get a kill. I'm trying to think like who can rotate where in this game. Like, that's actually something that works very well, is that they have this Mirana. And if Supreme doesn't do a good job of controlling vision to stop traps being around mid lane, he could get killed very easily. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed when it comes to arrows. Well, almost nothing.
No, nothing's guaranteed when it comes to anything.
That's very
This
deep
is a
of you.
world. Yeah, I know. You're not.
I have to keep telling that to betters when they like completely moan their asses off at me in DMs because their team lost that they bet on. Like, buddy, nothing's guaranteed in this game, in this world.
You've got to make your own life.
Make your own life. Whoa, I don't know how they do that situation. Buy a team, train them. There you go.
And then bet on them. That's illegal. Don't do that. Don't
That's
bet your
true.
own,
Don't,
on your own team.
no. Oh, what was it? There's a CS:GO player that he doesn't like. He bets, but it's not his bet. He lets his community. I don't know if he can do it for his games or if he has. Like he literally bets on matches based on what people vote for. So it's like
All right.
it's a meaningful type thing.
Sounds lucrative. Or
does
like
it?
that's a way to lose all your money.
Yeah, one way or the other. There's not really a middle ground here, right? Or is there? I think like CS:GO especially was. I want to say CS:GO reached a point where I think it's changed in most recent years, but like back then when he was doing it a lot, the teams were kind of more established and what you could expect was more like solid, which was funny because back then, like you think of 4 or 5 years ago, I feel like Dota matches were, you couldn't really confidently bet on them and be like, this team is just better than this team. And rarely will there be an upset. Whereas more often these days than before, I feel like we can apply a pecking order per se to different teams.
I think the game's changed as well to be more predictable in terms of who wins each match.
Yeah,
There's-
like you can
there's
equate
more,
draft
especially because
and
of the
then
laning
team skill
phase.
more, right?
It's easier to turn an advantage acquired in the laning stage into a skill into a win, or turn around a disadvantage in the laning phase through like efficient use of the map, which was less possible before.
Also, think back to like a few years ago. I feel something that was more definite, like meta was less defined outside of certain heroes like Batrider, Doom, whatever. And it was more about comfort picks, right? Like teams had their own style, whereas now it feels like players, because you know they've upped the ante. They're like, okay, I don't play this, but I know I have to learn to play it because X hero is so strong right now.
Yeah.
And of course, we still sometimes, you get your flavor picks, right? Like if you have a Meepo specialist or a Brood specialist. But outside that, players are a lot more willing to like put the hours into learning the meta hero.
Yeah, everyone works so much harder these days than they used to.
It makes us sound like we're calling them slackers, right? Like, oh, back in those days. It is true, right? Because it's become such a serious business now. Like if you compare
Yeah,
esports
it's
as infancy.
it's more of a like they have people want to do it as a career, which means they learn and play in more structured ways. Like we were talking a lot about Viking GG earlier, but those are 5 reasonable players. None of them are top 50 players, and they're an impressive team. And none of them are top 20 players. I think a couple of them are top 50, and that's just because they've worked really hard on how to be a competitive player rather than being how to be a pub player. And I think before in 2014, 2013, even later than that, you wouldn't have got teams like that, some players like that whose only focus is on the competitive side of things rather than pubbing at all.
I think the interesting part of that point, as we watched last year, sidestep Sunstrike but still die, is that when you no, there's not gonna be cool there. When you think about like the old days versus now, and like the whole mentality change, it's almost like imagine when you're trying to explain to your mum that you do esports to make money, right? Like, I don't want to say it was shame because you're still proud of it, but like it was hard to justify as a career. But now if you like told someone that, oh yeah, I'm playing like 10+ hours a day, and I'm gonna win TI and I'm a millionaire, or some people are like, huh, well, yeah, cute. It's more comparative to being in a Premier League team trying to win the Premier League. Whereas before, it was almost like you're in Division 3 and saying you're going to win the Premier League.
Yeah, I think now I think there's a lot more of a career path for people now, which is why saving of tier 2 Dota is really important, so that people can see a proper career path, and it's not just you have to win TI to survive and to be alive, because there's this is arguably a tier 2 game. I think both of these teams have a potential to become a tier 1 team, probably one of them more than others. But there are 5,000 people watching this game. That's a lot of people, and I think it deserves to be supported if people enjoy this sort of thing, which they do.
Thank you, those people for
rightfully.
watching this, by the way. We appreciate you. I think sometimes tier 2 Dota can be amazing as well. It's where you see new things come to fruition. It's where you discover star players, and often like you're not sure what the outcome is. Like when people see Secret play, it's gonna look amazing, but at the same time, you're like, Secret's gonna win. It's not guaranteed. Yeah. And we can sound biased when we say it, but like they're the standard. They're the golden standard of Dota right now. But when you see NiP and Bait play, it's like, what are they gonna do this time? What's the plan? How's the game gonna be executed?
Yes, it's more chaotic. I also think having different leagues of Dota to watch and having a wide variety of skill levels kind of means you appreciate the higher skill level more, and it gives it. I don't know. I like supporting tier 2 teams. Like I would say I probably have a tier 1 team that I support, and also a couple of tier 2 teams who I kind of follow, and I think probably a lot of Dota fans are the same.
No, quite possibly. I mean, a lot of people like to hop on that Secret train. It's a bit hard not to when they're playing better than
There are a lot of
anyone
Secret
else.
fans out there.
There is. They've earned them well, though. I think the other interesting thing is, I think there's kind of this argument that goes around. It's like, oh man, why don't people want to, watch the tier 2 Dota? Or why isn't those? And there's always more that everyone can do. As Last Hero is trying his best to run away, won't be successful. Phoenix dies in the mid lane as well. But it's that whole notion of, like, when I see people going, oh, but X should do better. I think like we can all do better, right? So like from a casting perspective, how do we make tier 2 and tier 3 games interesting?
But casting, that's not how you pronounce that word.
Casting? I said casting, right?
Oh, I thought you said marketing and pronounced it McCarting.
No. The casting perspective. Probably said it a bit quick. I'm bloated from my food.
Fair enough. Sorry, I didn't mean to be pedantic.
It's fine. How dare you? But no, from a casting perspective, we could do better things for tier 2s, like saying words properly. But also from a player perspective, I always give a big shout out to like people like Kezu who have created their own brand, right? And they found a way to like sustain because they are kind of giving to the community. And I don't want that to be taken the wrong way. It's like, oh, these tier 2 and tier 3 players, so needy. But like you can understand how he's like tried to identify how he can add value, even if he's not able to necessarily be on the Team Secrets or the OGs of the world. And then of course there's like the tournament organizer side, right? The reason that people love things like Midas mode so much is like they don't necessarily, yes, they will get some of the biggest teams, but they don't need the biggest teams, because what people want to see, right, is like if I told you could watch NiP versus Bait, and this is no offense to the team, but if I said your choices were OG versus Team Secret or NiP versus Bait, and they're playing, like they're both trying to play Sweat Lord Dota, right? They're trying to play real Dota. versus if I told you Bait and NiP are going to play some Mimi Dota, where one player on each team is from the other team. Would you be interested in all of a sudden in maybe watching the Bait versus NiP game?
I don't know. Probably. Just to interrupt, that was a good rotation up the top.
It was. I felt
to
like
return to the game somewhat, as chat I imagine are now demanding.
They are. I kept the camera on it. I've done the good camera work, boys and girls. But it's an interesting point, I think.
It is, yeah.
Because like
It
we
is
don't
important.
have many variable tournaments. I feel like all these small tournaments try and copycat what an ESL tournament format is and how that runs, or how a BTS tournament runs. And that's a big reason why a lot of people love BTS so much, right? Is like, especially when they're doing the in-studio stuff, is it's very different to your prestigious majors, right? Where everything's very serious and everything's on the line.
It's important to have a lot of different tones and a lot of different ways that things are done. But this is, I think this game's gone a bit sleepy, but I think it's the stuff going on.
Yeah, there
the
is.
Mids are both farming.
That's pretty much what we expected, though. Like, it's an Exhort Invoker, right? So the other beautiful thing about not going Quas-Wex build and build a Spirit Vessel is you don't feel pressured to necessarily make plays. You will scale.
Yeah, you're going to grow. They've got 2 Midases on the side of NiP. Dendy's not yet controlled the game in the way that he needs to, but perhaps after these stacks, he's going to have a little bit more. Because he's almost got his Deso up. I think the stack gives him his Deso. So from there, I think he's going to be able to take... Hopefully, he can make something happen to that. I think if Dendy doesn't start making things happen in the next 5 minutes, then they're going to struggle a little.
Nah, they need someone who's going to make plays happen, right? Because he has gone for that Deso first. It's not a Blink first. With Stampede wasted like that by last hero, ooh,
I don't know what sort of a play
that
that was, because that was just hanging out in mid.
it's button testing. Abaddon in the bot lane. He's holding on to the point. Borrow time's going to be there. I'll try and just root him up. Should be the kill on the other offlaner as well. So they stop him pushing in here. Like, one thing that Bait's got going for them so far is they haven't surrendered any towers, while NiP has given over a lot. I don't think that's inherently Bait having a much better push lineup for early towers. I'd say they're kind of even Stevens.
They're pretty even. Well, the Sensor is good at pushing. They've got the mid tower, which is really important. But I don't think NiP really need anything right now. They're pretty comfortable farming.
Well, the map gets smaller once you lose the tier 1s, right? So, like, you
They
can see this
do.
confident move.
But
Won't connect on Charlie, though.
they don't really want to take fights. I think they probably could take fights, but they don't have to. Well, they're taking this one here.
He's going to force one right here. Sunstrike's going to be their last hero who still doesn't have the Stampede. They're trying to get rid of the egg in time, just about. But it will cost them the life of the Centaur. And Fishman will be the follow-up kill as he does go down. Gristler's being pinged. That's got another Remnant and one more to work with, so he shouldn't be a kill here. That does feel painful, though. Whenever you're an Ember and you have to use all 3 Remnants, you suddenly become 10 times more defensive. And that should allow the side in NiP to find this tier 1 on the bot lane.
Now they're going to be able to start pushing, taking stuff.
It kind of has to be, right? Like, we said they're happy to chill and sit back, but like we were just highlighting, those tier 1's gone. That preview from Bay is that the map isn't safe for NiP. So they need to kind of create new zones to farm in. And this tier 1 bot is always the classic to open up that new zone of farm for a die hero.
We've got to make sure that all the tier 1s are gone, so we've got some good tier 2 Dota.
There you go. See? Like, that Dota and Valve, Gaben, he didn't want to point it out to us in any sort of announcement. He's been telling us this whole time. Eliminate the tier 1s, then you can get to the cool, good tier 2s. And don't get me started on the wonderful tier 4s. My local pub stack in the tier 4s, I tell you, we're something else.
Do you think your pub stack's tier 4? I'd say your pub stack is way lower than that. Tier 69, probably.
You're assuming I have enough people to create a pub stack. Many people see me put Tide Hunter 4 and just GG out there. That's a very tiny tornado. Good thing it's not a measuring contest. Fenn's disarmed right now. He's got the gold strength for 5. Last hero trying to go in, but the cold snap means he cannot do a thing. Good rune to 4. Should slow them for a moment. Era does have the eggs, so they need to be careful about how they approach this. Dendy's already lost the refractions. The Nightmare does come out to Mirana. And with the gold strength activated, this kitty cat is gone. It's the buyback. Chrysalis has the Remnant in. Isn't going to commit to it just yet. Last hero is going to give the vision. He's ready for the stomp. Nice Shadow still got half duration. Egg's gonna go down. Stomp's gonna be there. Tornado though, it's actually gonna be picked up in the no. It gets denied by Supreme. Nobody will get this Aegis. Instead, Bait will just get additional deaths in their lineup. That egg from Era completely screwed over Bait's attempt to disrupt this Roshan.
That is real bad from Bait. That is not a good thing to happen.
No,
this is exactly the sort of time. That Roche was a vaguely good move, but if they'd taken it, that would have put them in a more commanding a position to take a commanding position. As it currently stands, they have not taken the position they needed to, and now the game's going to be a bit of a struggle, I think.
Really good play from Supreme as well. You got that tiny range on your Tornado. He gets them up in the air, no hesitation, realizes there is no possible way in which my Sven's going to be unstunned in time to pick this up. So without hesitation,
really good play from Supreme.
Denies it.
He controlled so much of that game, that fight. He stopped the Centaur from getting his stun off with Cold Snap. That Tornado in the Roche pit was excellent. Really well played by him.
Yeah. And Era's timing on that egg, you know, some people are like, oh, don't call it pitch perfect. No, it really was. Like, the timing was designed to put Bait in a situation where if they want to try and take that Aegis away from you, they are going to be in range and you're going to get 3 heroes at least stunned. Now NiP building that lead up to 5k, smoked by Bait. They can feel this game starting to slip away, and with this blink on Dendi, they want to make something happen. Supreme's the one they run into. Tornado to buy some time. Arrow does connect though, and the chop won't change the outcome.
That's something.
There's a little summon. But they're going to want more though. They need to convert this into an objective is the thing. I don't know if there's an opportunity to. Maybe Dendi tries to push this in, but Era can more or less stop him on his own. Yeah,
Era's got that Meteor Hammer now as well.
This is the fun experience. I feel like I'm not seeing the Yules as much on the Phoenixes as follow-up. But that was the combo for a bit, is you'd dive in, Yules, and then Meteor Hammer. And then when they come down, they have a nice surprise and you're nowhere nearby. Oh, Stomp coming out with the Stampede. Last year trying to move away. The Fiend's Grip is stopped by the False Promise, and that is a dead Sven very quickly. Misha, doesn't matter if he gets away or not. They've already got the big target as Sven is down for 50 seconds. Don't waste their time. But the rough part is that NiP don't have any quick, cheap push anywhere else, right? Like, you're seeing this right now. They're going to pressure the tier 1 mid for like 100 HP for that. That's a really good trade for Bait. They might find more as well, actually. Saberlight's going to walk up into the trap. Let's say, go.
Yeah, he'll be alright.
Use that borrowed time. Or is he? Okay, no, they didn't charge the route for longer. But he does have to play defensive for 50 seconds. I think NiP would have liked to smoke up once they're up with Sven again, but that's not going to be an option now.
Well, yeah, I think they can take a fight without an Abaddon ult.
It's interesting, actually, that Sven is not thinking like BKB Ags type approach this game. Dendi tried to initiate on him instead. It turns around pretty quickly. The stun's going to come out. Does go onto Sven, but there's no easy way to burst through him. The egg is going to go down. All of a sudden, they're in too deep. Oracle's dead. Charlie will chase forward onto the Branos, trying to get rid of the egg, and she cannot do it in time. They managed to get it off. Does enable the kill onto the Centaur, and now Krista's needs are way out quick. Remnant, but it's not far away. He's out of mana as well, so they'll chase forward looking for more. They get rid of his Courier, and they'll get rid of him.
Wow, that was great control around the egg from the Invoker and also the Sven. Really, that going off just turned that fight entirely. And they've got so many Meteor Hammers for control. They've got a Meteor Hammer on Bane and a Meteor Hammer on Phoenix. The amount of control they've currently got around the egg is really good.
This is what's about to happen in our pub games. Past 5's rushing Meteor Hammers and going, it's good, it's good. We'll see how good it is in the top lane. Dendi does not have a BKB, remember. So if this hits, he's dead. Moving in, Nightmare. He's like, how you doing, bro? It's hammer time, and then it's gripping time. Let me touch ya. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they're able to force last hero back. They get the Stampede and the False Promise. I feel like Bait are just cracking a little here.
Well, they're in dire straits. They're 8k behind for an early game like that.
And they're running straight into die here. Charlie does get hit up by the arrow. Have they even got the damage though? Sustaining through all of this. The tornado into the EMP combo is good. Out of mana on the Centaur. They should be able to just click him down now. They disarmed to buy some time. You know Sven's going to finish him off. And on the side, they're hunting for more. Not able to find the Oracle, but now with the Sven here and the God Strength still going, they'll take this tier 2 tower. You're right about those dire straits. Now to a 9,000 net worth lead. It's going to get bigger as well, by the way. They're moving top. They're going, wait, this Meteor Hammer, it's really good for hitting towers as well. Let's just keep going.
It is. It's fantastic. If everyone could get a Meteor Hammer, you could probably do, I don't know, a bit of damage to a tower.
Or stun someone
Imagine
infinitely, you know?
Yeah, you could do. I mean, that's all you'd do. But if you manage to catch everyone, their entire team, under the Meteor Hammers, you could
So if you
stun
have a
them
Dark
the entire
Seer,
time.
right? Yeah? I know you're a
That's
Dark
the-
Seer
that's the
fan.
play.
So, never as the Dark Seer just vacuums the Meteor Hammer comes in. Then he's just like the third one in the row. I feel like there's an execution risk here where multiple people accidentally press Meteor Hammer at the same time.
Yeah, you'd have to have a lot of coordination.
So what we're saying is they need to counter these Meteor Hammers with their own. See, look, they could use a Meteor Hammer on Bane right now and it'd be so good. Instead, Bane is going to try and run away with Meteor Hammer. It's not going to work, though. It was an ambitious attempt, I think, is the choice of words we're looking for.
Correct.
Egg. They did use the Stampede, so it's an even trade, really, in that regard. But Last Hero might be the one to go down. The Cold Snap doing way
So
too
much
much
damage.
damage. And look at this. It's a good arrow, but you have no way of turning on it. You just have to run. They need BKB, and they need it quick. Dendy does have the money. He's going to buy out on it. All this while you just keep him busy. What's Charlie doing? He's hitting creeps because he's about to have an AC.
Very close to it. It becomes very difficult to deal with when he's got an AC because, again, they've gone through a relatively minus armor strat.
Pretty much. Like,
Just
whenever
buy
you
an
pick...
AC and...
I was going to say, like, whenever you pick a TA, it's kind of like you just put on the Let's Get Physical song. It's more or less all you do.
Yeah,
I do
not
love
many
a good
people building.
Oh, error. Able to get away. He didn't have the egg, so it was a good dive out. Now then, uh-oh. Okay, they take the Nightmare off. That does mean Mirana is in a little bit of trouble now, though. Out of mana, out of time.
12k up at 24 minutes.
You know, it's a recurring pattern here. Like, NiP's heat map for the last 3 minutes is this. Last hero, stomp on a two. Fiend's grip straight there. Now they're going to heal through with the Sun Ray. They have to use the False Promise onto the center, which means Dendy's in trouble. BKB just to run away. Sunstrike is on the mark, but the damage is not enough to bring him down. With the Centaur now dead, they have access to the base, and they have access to Chrysalis's head. Stormhammer chasing. The disarm is there. All the damage follow-up is enough to bring him down. They even find the kill on the Fishman on the back line. And you are getting close to that GG point. In fact, NiP say, yeah, we can force it right now. This has been a long day. We've waited all day for this, and we're not going to wait any longer.
For them, it's not been a long day. They've only just started playing.
But you had to wait this whole time, right?
Yes,
I mean,
that's true.
Some
I
people
think
don't have the
they're
sleep
imagining
schedule.
they're
Yeah, there you go. Celebratory egg. GG comes out. NiP taking a pretty convincing second game to make it 2-0 in their favor. Fate finished the first day with 100% loss rate.
Oh dear. Well, there you go. I think NiP performed well there. I mean, you can talk about mistakes from Bait, but ultimately you have to be a team that takes advantage of those mistakes. And I think Ninjas in Pyjamas needed a statement win to start off this, and they've managed to do that for me.
I think for me, NiP kind of had a clearer concept of what they want to do with the drafts. And it does once again come back to what we were saying before, where they give themselves multiple avenues of success, right? Like, Sven is eventually going to be relevant no matter what, but imagine a game in which a Baden gets a good start to his lane and all these towers disappear quickly, or, you know, Invoker is farming unhindered. Like, it's not often you get to see multiple Midases on teams these days. I still remember the days when you see, like, triple Midas regularly on teams. But these days, it's usually like, you're allowed one. One of you gets it because anything else is too greedy, but never felt like Bait could close the map quick enough to punish that.
Well, I think all of their cores just had a good game. There was no like core of Ninjas in Pyjamas that really got shut down, and Dendy didn't manage to control the mid game enough. Dying top kind of towards the end as well. Dendy needed to have a big game. That's the problem if you play these kind of cores from the mid position that control the game like that have to pop off like that. Then if you don't end up doing it, it's really risky. if you're picking around a mid laner, then it's a risky strat, and you really got to be able to rely on that mid laner, and they just weren't able to do that today.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's also a case of if you are the kind of carry and you want to be the center focus of the draft, like where's your playmaker? And it felt like they were trying to force this Ember Spirit to be that. But at the end of the day, it's still like a post 1 Ember, right? He doesn't get the levels as quickly, so he's not able to shift into that playmaker role as fast as you'd like. And then you're talking about a Centaur that got shut down from minute 1. I mean, like this guy got a almost 20-minute blink dagger. Yeah, he got a Hooded Defiance before that. But like this wasn't a quick blink into let me set the pace, Dendy. This was a I'm going to be the last hero to feel my impact in this game.
Unfortunately, yeah. There
Sadly,
you go.
a very quick one. Well, I say sadly, it has been a long day. We've been going for about 8.5 hours, but we do come to a close. So for those just tuning in, I'll run it back to you on how the day has rounded out. Viking did open up the day with a 2-0 over the side of Unique and quickly went into the second game where they actually drew with Hellraisers 1-1 after bouncing back after losing game 1 to Hellraisers. And then we had Khan versus Mud Golems. Mud Golems being the new stack involving 33 Fada, Wiranya, Skidder, and Milan. That was a 1-1 draw. And we closed the day with EU getting the majority of the wins here, as it is a 2-0 in favor of NiP over Bait. That's it for your action for this region. Luckily for you, BTS Pro Series has kind of round the clock stuff going on here. So if you just hang around, I'm pretty sure any time very soon there's an NA region with some sprinkles of SA, I believe, that is ready to expose itself to you and show you the glorious big brains that are the American players. Stay tuned. I'll be with you shortly. I believe it's going to be B-Cop and Neff again. But me and Dan, we're done here. It has been a pleasure, folks. But until next time.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.